government officials insist that this is an isolated incident.
Warning. The following program contains explicit language and mature content. It is not meant for the easily offended. So if you are an emotional pussy, please refrain from listening. Thank you and enjoy.
Welcome back. Another edition of the Buzz Podcast. Your boy Cujo. Appreciate you all tuning in here. Remember, like, subscribe, all that good shit. As you see here, I have certain people, certain guests in front of me. I have a special co-host today. She goes by the name of La Bikina. She is Nayeli Rodriguez, up-and-coming boxing star here in El Paso and soon across the nation. Nayeli, appreciate you coming out here and taking part in this little science experiment that we have today.
Yes.
Here next to Nayeli, we have Dr. Roman Velasquez. The doc is a Neuro Peek Performance is the name of the company, right?
Right.
Okay, and basically what it is, it's fight sport, cognitive performance training, and quantum neuro performance recovery. So for those of us that don't speak science, what the hell did I just say?
Basically, I train athletes, fight sport athletes, to have a better efficiency on their brain-body integration.
Okay. And how long have you been doing this within the...
For about 10 years.
Okay, so how did you get into this?
I think I got into... I used to box when I was a kid. I was a wrestler all throughout high school. Joined the Marine Corps, boxed in the Marine Corps too. I decided to just go and study after the Marine Corps. And I went to the corporate world, came out of the corporate world, and got a postdoctoral certification in neurobiology, and my concentration was on human performance. And having the wrestling and the amateur boxing background, I said, you know what, it just makes sense. I was training corporate executives, workforce teams on human performance for organizational work. And Austin Trout from Las Cruces, he called me up and says, hey, can we work? Can you take me through some visualization sessions? And that's how this started, you know.
Wow.
Took Austin Trout. I think he was going to fight Charlo or something like that. I can't remember who it was, but I took him through a visualization process, and I took him through that fight 45 times before he got into the ring.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how is that how is that possible as far as for the visualization? Like how does that work with the visualization of the fight?
Yeah, well, it's a process that you take. You relax, close your eyes. I take them through a whole body scan. Okay, there's meditative music playing on the background. We go through the fight, you know, wrapping, and the issue with that is that the importance of it is that the brain doesn't know if it's real or being imagined.
Okay.
The same neural networks fire. So you could actually visualize you doing something several times before you actually do it, and you'd be surprised at how well and how comfortable and how calm your brain is when you're actually doing it, even if it's a stressful event.
Okay. So when a fight is so unpredictable because you don't know, I'm sure like you go in with a game plan, right? And when that game plan falls to shit, how can you prepare for that? You know, you go through 45 times. It's not always going to be the same exact thing, is it?
No, absolutely not.
So how do you
Absolutely
prepare
not.
for those curveballs that come out?
Yeah, changes happen in a split instant, like we were talking about, milliseconds, you know, split second, and the fight is over, right? So what we do with our training is we make sure, our brains are pattern recognition machines. They recognize pattern very quick.
Okay.
And they do it because they're basically designed to make us survive the day, survive life, survive the round, survive the fight. And the brain is very economical. It absorbs 20% of your body's energy. Okay. So it wants to always sustain that energy and keep that energy and hold that energy when you know most need it. So it's economical, and that pattern recognition system is part of that economy. Okay. It allows for you to identify patterns and and not overreact to things, because it's a pattern, A, B, C, and D. Oh, it's always A, B, C, and D. In our training, we recognize that. So we throw a lot of randomization training, such as the light suite. It's not a pattern. It'll never be a pattern. So the brain can't say, oh, it's a pattern. It's always blue. It's always green. It's a pattern that's unrecognizable by your brain. In other words, it's random fighting. Random. So what does that do to the brain? It reorganizes the brain and connects neural networks that are associated with those features. See, the first law of the brain is neurons that fire together wire together. And that's neuroplasticity. Our experiences cause our brain to rewire, grow functionally, structurally, and it does it automatically. So with the training, as we go through the cycles of training and whatnot, we put stimulus on the brain that's going to be, number one, in tune with the strategy, with the fight combinations that you're going to be going forth. So we make sure that your brain is optimized to those combinations and to the fight strategy.
Okay.
Yeah. So the randomization is key piece to what we do. So that way you don't fall into a pattern and you get cheated on.
Damn.
Okay.
So as far as for when it comes to a boxer like Nayeli, you're taught sometimes to, when you're boxing, now correct me if I'm wrong, when you're boxing, you're not going to be doing, like you said, the same thing over and over again, because then you're predictable at that time, right? So when it comes to feints, how does that come into does that part of the randomizations, or is that part of just you gotta going with the flow of it? How does that go?
It's many things.
Okay.
It's many things. When it comes down to the brain, you want that to be cemented. You want that to be part of your neural networks that exist in there. Okay. There's going to be a lot of situations where a fighter, we see the fighter train for an 8-week training camp, and everything was, even sparring was excellent, whatnot. But then once they get in a fight and they take a really good hard hit, it's like the brain goes into default mode, and the amygdala, the part of the brain that handles the emotionals, the fight flight, just hijacks the brain, and we see the fighter go into those same mistakes again.
Okay.
So that's what basically happens.
Okay. So then with the Neuro Peek Performance, does that help to reset and get away from that, or how does it?
Yeah.
How can you avoid that?
Yeah. So what it does, our program is designed to build and rewire neural networks of a higher performance. Okay. So we measure everything. We start with an assessment, right? And out of that assessment, and that assessment is based on commonalities, common features that we've seen fight sport athletes have, such as neural visual processing speed, the way your brain processes and how fast it processes. Dynamic vision, they were from peripheral vision, near far focus, split attention, foveal vision, you moving around with type of vision, cognitive flexibility, hand-eye coordination, the ability to quiet your mind within a minute. Okay, because when you're in between rounds, you gotta quiet your mind, and you don't have that much time to quiet your mind.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's important. So how do you quiet your mind? You quiet your mind by practicing and looking at metrics. Okay, that's the way you do it, because if you don't do that, you don't know what a quiet mind really is.
Okay. So
Until you feel
the quiet mind, is that? Do you focus a lot on meditation then?
it's EEG neural meditation.
EEG neuro meditation.
Yeah,
Okay.
and she's going to do a 5-minute session here while we're talking and whatnot. That way we can see how her brain really quiets down. And it's important for her because as her dad is out there in that corner, I want her brain to be very quiet. Okay. But yet listen to what the instructions are, but quiet, not all over the place.
Right.
Okay.
Nayeli, when you're in the corner, with the doc talking about this, do you find yourself focusing on what your quarter's telling you? Do you actually, or are you just like in your own world, or what's that like as far as for a fighter's perspective?
No, in the corner, it's just me and my dad
Yeah.
and my mom. just us. That's how I feel, that it's just us. You know, like, you know how we were talking about earlier, you know, when I do my ring walk and you see all those people.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I don't see none of that. My mom was telling me, Bikina, like that she heard everyone saying Bikina, and I don't hear none of that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just more like, I guess I'm just enjoying the moment. And even in the seconds, I'm still enjoying the moment. Like, you know, and at the same time, I feel like I'm also processing what I did the last round.
Okay.
You know, so it's like I'm processing what I did the last round and what I can do to do better, and also hearing what my dad got to say.
Okay.
You know?
So how have you trained yourself to get to that point where you could drown everything out and just focus on what your corner is talking to you about?
You know, honestly, I don't know. I don't know if it just came with experience, you know, and I guess it's also too that I allowed in these training camps, I've allowed my dad, and my mom's my strength and conditioning, but my dad, I've allowed him to really get into my head.
Okay.
In the sense that everything he says, you know how I told you, Mom, the other time I was like, man, this man is inside my head. Like, he's literally in my head. I don't know if it's the way that he's talking to me or the way that, you know, the way that training's going, you know, because during training camp, I have what I call as a great training camp is when my dad's mad at me 24/7. Because that means that if I have a hard training camp, the fight's going to be easier, you know?
Yeah.
So, and it's been like that. And I feel like that's a way of, I don't know how he does it, you know, that's him as a coach, but I feel like he just gets into my head and it just allows me to like focus. Yeah.
Do you see that a lot with the fighters? Exactly what she's saying. 'Cause I see you not in there a lot.
Absolutely. That's so common. Okay. Yeah. And that's what you got to do. By the way, for your followers, she's wearing a Brain Link EEG system on her head, and we're reading her brain waves as she sits there and talks and whatnot. And when the piece that I was looking at, the piece when you're talking about your dad getting in your head, you're very comfortable with that, okay? Because your brain has allowed him a space. There's a little sacred space that is reserved for him. And that's what we want to see. We want to see that sacred space. You stay relaxed. You're not overthinking things. And that's a winning ticket right there. I mean, you can't. Yeah.
That sacred space, do you think that's more because of the fighter trainer, or is it more, do you think it has to do a little bit more because it's father-daughter? Does that have any play into it, do you think?
It would. I think it would. However, she sees her dad as a trainer.
Right.
Okay. First and foremost, it's kind of like having a split role. You know, I'm in the gym. I'm the fighter. That's my trainer. I'm at home. I'm the daughter. That's my dad. It's kind of like the brain. Put the switch on.
Yeah. It's flip a switch.
It flips, right? Yeah.
Damn, that's interesting. So, does your dad ever pull some bullshit at home and say, like, you know what? I know I should have done this earlier when we were training, but as your trainer, I want you to go wash the car or some shit. Wash the car by hand or some shit. Does he ever pull anything like that? Or is it training like 24/7 or?
When we're in camp mode, it is 24/7. Okay. Like, I have from both of them. Yeah. You know, it's coach 24/7. It's not mom and dad. Right. Because if it were mom and dad, I feel like they would baby me more. Yeah. You know, but no, it's coach 24/7 when it comes to training camps. Yeah. And you guys know it's true. I don't get mom and dad. Not even, let me tell you, even when I win fights, I don't get mom and dad. I can win fights. No, have you ever seen my dad after a fight? When I win, does he hug me? No,
you're not supposed to. You can't show favoritism in the gym.
No, like it actually, like in the fights, like when I'm fighting and I win, he doesn't hug me. It's just like,
it's business.
Yeah.
Right.
And then and like it takes like 5 business days, and that's when I get mom and dad.
They got to decompress.
Yeah, just like.
Because remember, these guys have a lot of stress on them too, on top of what you know what I mean. Because I mean, as a parent, I don't know how you guys do it. So I'm looking here to my side. Mom and dad are here for Nayeli. As a parent, if I see like my kid, you know, if I see somebody even raise a hand at my kid, I'm like, fuck this kid, right? Like I automatically, the parenting nature comes over. So you gotta remember, they have to find that comfortable way balance. To split, and sometimes it might take a few business days to do it. Because I mean, it's hard to find that loving, tender nature, and then also trying to balance and making your kid into like basically a killer. You know, at any moment. Now, I know, Doc, you've talked about some of the things that I've seen that you've mentioned about the full spectrum calibration, right? What does that mean for a fighter?
Oh, you're talking about a story that I put in there.
Yeah.
You know, that's a very new program I'm implementing.
Okay.
It's been in the works for about a year and a half. Mm-hmm. It's actually what's known as a quantum scalar energy system.
Okay.
And it harnesses the scalar energy from the universe. It's everywhere. Mm-hmm. And creates a resonance, in other words, like a bubble around the person. And we could shoot frequencies to the body.
Okay.
You know, for about 15, 30, 35 minutes for wellness, peak performance, mental clarity, and that sort of stuff.
So is that like a bunch of crystals and shit, or
no,
like
no.
What are you talking about here?
No, it's an actual machine. It's an actual scalar machine that's based out of Nikola Tesla's scalar models. Damn. And it's already in use. There's several companies out there that's got it. As a matter of fact, Austin Trout uses it. Mm-hmm. He uses a different brand.
Okay.
I got a different brand that there's an engineer that had to move from the United States into Canada.
Okay.
Because the United States said, hey, you can't be making these things without FDA approval and whatnot. Yeah. And, you know, Big Pharma, HMO, you know, they want to control the whole medical scene.
They want their money.
And they don't want people to heal up
and
do those sort of things. So it's a brand new program for me. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of athletes already that are using it, okay? As a matter of fact, there is a gentleman that has that system, and he's been able to build a very powerful one where he can actually do your work even if you're on the other side of the world.
Really?
Yeah, he just sends pure quantum energy to you, to your house, or to you individually.
Dude, that's
and it works with quantum physics. Uh-huh. If you know about quantum physics, you know Einstein even couldn't fathom the quantum entanglement where two separate photons. You tickle this one, you send this one across the globe, and once you tickle this one spins as well. Mm-hmm. Okay, and he called that spooky action at a distance because he couldn't fathom it. But that's the quantum world. You know, at the most minute level of our bodies is our quantum world. It's just atoms, electrons, protons, and all the food that we eat, the nutrition that we eat, the sunlight that we get, all that at the very minute turns into electrons, protons, neutrons. And that's the way we get our power, our energy.
Yeah. You know? See, it is that Stranger Things shit.
Yeah, it's Stranger. I'm gonna become L by the end of this episode, guys. I'm gonna be watching everything you guys are doing. All right.
I'm gonna see it all. So with the training that you provide, do you find it easier or rough or I guess I should say more difficult? I don't even think that's a word. With newer fighters or more veteran fighters for what you're trying to provide?
Both. I think that the more seasoned fighter, we trained with one guy that had been in the UFC for years, Carlos Condit, and we trained for him 2 years, the last 2 years of his fight career, and he reached out because he wanted to sharpen his brain. Mm-hmm. Okay? But Carlos had already had a lot of habits he brought in. You know, part of the brain right here is called the basal ganglia. This is where all our habits are built in. You know, that's the reason we don't learn every day how to brush our teeth, comb our hair, drive to work. Mm-hmm. You know, it comes from basal ganglia. Any damage to that area, and you're going to have to, you know, relearn everything every day. Yeah. You know, until it gets, you know, rewired that way. So it's both, you know, it's both. So you work with seasoned fighters that have this sort of mentality, this sort of, you know, rewiring to their brains. So we don't look for the weaknesses. We look for the pluses, and we exploit that. If they're already good at doing X, Y, Z, let's get them better at X, Y, Z. You know, Carlos, on the fit lights and on the lights on reaction speeds, he was hitting 100 milliseconds. That's Carlos. When you hit 100 milliseconds, you can actually hit somebody 5-6 times in less than a second, and that's pretty fast.
Jesus Christ! Yeah. So, as far as for a boxer, what is optimum Or what is the number that you're looking for within that reaction?
Same thing. Professional boxers, they hit around 200, 250 milliseconds.
What about for us just normal bar fighters or
a bar fight?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's pretty slow. It's about 1.5 seconds.
So you'll probably get about 3 punches maybe a second, or
well,
like in a bar fight.
Regular Joe blow?
Yeah.
Oh
like,
no,
regular somebody in my grade.
Now 1.5 second per punch.
Damn.
And by that time, she could probably throw about 10 punches in less than 2 seconds, and
damn,
it's over.
Yeah.
Now this is my question. So, like with the lights, right? Is it more of a speed thing or is it reaction time with your brain? Because, like, let's say you have, not all fighters are fast. Like, honestly, me in the ring, I am very fast in the ring. I throw a lot of combinations.
Yes.
You know, now if you have, now I'm going to give an example. Like, in the lights, when we tried it earlier, well, it was my first time. I'm just playing. But it's called, I wasn't at that mark that you were saying, right? But in the ring, I am very fast.
Yes.
So there, you're training my brain in the reaction time?
So it's a difference, right?
Mm-hmm.
You've already practiced enough times those combinations over years. So you have muscle memory, and there's no thing as a muscle memory, but people call it muscle memory. The memory's up here, okay? Mm-hmm. Your motor cortex, once your prefrontal cortex says, okay, hit the combination, and I don't know if you guys go by numbers or whatnot, or so it starts right here. Okay, I got the combination. Goes to your motor cortex. The motor cortex has a stacking order, okay, that has got to proceed, goes out to the cerebellum and out to the central nervous system, and you throw those combinations, okay? The neural aspect of it is the issue, because you're looking for a stimuli. You're looking for that out, for that opening, okay, when you're going to do that, okay? So the lights allow you to practice on your seeing, processing, reacting. So there's neural networks in the brain that handle that. Mm-hmm. And if you don't have those neural networks all in full gear, you know, you're going to do a hit and miss. And you're going to rely on, hey, I'm just fast at combinations. Yes, but you're also going to need that brain processing speed to tell you, you know what? Let's speed things up. Mm-hmm. The other thing about brain processing speed, and we use several technologies, and obviously I can't, you know, I mean, I need a bigger space but we want to increase brain processing speed by over 75% of where you start. And why is that so important? It's important because every sensory perception that we have, hearing, touch, smell, seeing, and seeing is the biggest one, because almost the biggest part of the brain over here in the back, that's the visual cortex. So it holds the most real estate. So it takes top seat on sensory perception, on what the brain is going to do, right? So it's important that when we increase that neurovisual processing, the brain learns to manipulate the frequencies, and your game slows down. You know, some of the UFC fighters that we worked with said, you know what? Everything was in slow motion. I was able to connect every single time, but it wasn't in slow motion. Your brain was processing it that way because it's manipulating these frequencies.
And then, so I know, so like way Nayeli said that it's, you know, with the first time that she ever did it, you're not going to get optimum, right? I mean, it's rare that you're going to be, you know, at that top notch. It's just like anything else, right? You got to train your brain
absolutely
to get to that point.
It just depends on how adaptive one's brain is.
Yeah.
Okay. We all our brains are adaptive,
right?
But how adaptive? How quick can you pick it up? Usually, experienced fighters, they pick it up real quick because they're programmed to do that. They've been, you know, susceptible to that type of training already, and that's why old school trainers say, oh, "Well, dude, all training is brain training. The brain is attached to the body."
Right.
And yes, that's very true. But what we do is we make sure that we introduce the right stimulus to enhance the efficiency of what the brain does, you know, during stressful situations, during conflicting situations, during, you know, the time it comes to process information quickly. So, yeah, it's a big difference.
Let me ask you something. Or let me ask Nayeli, do you know, or have they told you, what's the reason that you shadow box?
The reason I shadow box?
Yeah, what's the reason that fighters shadow box?
Well, I mean, for me, I mean, it's a little bit of a warm-up, but every training that I do, even from shadow boxing to sparring to hitting the bag, doing the mitts, I do it 100%. Okay. I visualize, like my dad always says, visualize that you're hitting someone. I guess what you can say, you know how dancers, they mark their dances and they do counts? Maybe that's kind of what shadow boxing is. You're marking yourself in shadow boxing. You're visualizing someone. Oh my God, I sounded so poetic, didn't I? I just like, you're visualizing someone hitting you, you know, and moving. And it's like like you're marking your punches and shadow boxing, you know? And also it's a warm up. But my dad always says the way you shadow box, you got to transfer it to the way. Well, the main thing, the way you hit the mitts, because everyone gets excited with the mitts, right? The way you hit the mitts, you got to shadow box like that. You got to spar like that. You got to hit the bag like that. You got to keep the same energy. Right. You know, because when you're hitting the bag, you still got to visualize someone. Right. So in the end and everything, it's about visualizing someone. Right.
So on the cognitive tip, how is shadow boxing? What's the purpose of shadow boxing?
Just exactly what you said. And I think one of the most important factors too, from a brain perspective, is that shadow boxing is almost meditative. It's meditation in flow. Your brain is actually going into this rhythm with your body and the movement. Even if you're going through strategy, you do it almost meditatively, and it grows your brain. Shadow boxing is very important. You know, the breathing that takes place within shadow boxing, all that is going into the habitual little brain that we have here. Okay. The basal ganglia. Every little thing that you do is going in there. It knows how to shadow box. What are the things? What are the conditions for the shadow box? Okay. And I would recommend that when you shadow box, you throw something different in there. Okay. And then you be conscious of your breathing, because the way you breathe in shadow boxing is the way you're going to breathe hitting mitts, and it's the way you're going to breathe in a fight, in an actual fight. You know, that's your basal ganglia working and saying, okay, I'm not going to waste energy for this. We already done this. We've already done this several times. So I'm not going to consume any energy for you, okay? So you're on your own. Yeah. That's what the brain is telling you, you know, unless you push it. And the way you push it is either reactive or deliberate on yourself.
So what different? What you said to do something different? Like what can you do different while shadow boxing to push it further?
Throw some cognitive things in there.
Oh my dad tended to do that. Yeah. I'm shadow boxing and moving. He said, "Okay, I need you to, for an example, I need you to move around the whole ring, not just stay in the center." Or he tells me, I need you to work low, I need you to work high, I need you to work angles. In that sense, when I'm shadow boxing, he switches it up for me. And it's very random. Important. And it's very random.
Random, right? That's random work.
Yeah, sometimes I'm just shadow boxing, do my own thing for a couple rounds, and then he comes in randomly. Oh, I need you to work angles. I need you to do this.
Work codes with that. You know what I'm saying? Instead of yelling, get low or switch around or do something. You don't designate some numbers or some letters for it, or even colors. Make her brain start to work while she's actually moving, okay? Because that's important. That's what's gonna, you know, in a fight, we don't really gas out. You guys are so conditioned, you know, physically. You don't gas out. What throws in the towel is the brain. The brain throws in the towel.
And that's because of overstimulated, or because you feel like you're done?
Because you haven't trained. You haven't trained it.
You haven't trained it.
Yeah.
Damn.
Now, I have another question. So sometimes when I'm sparring or even fighting, and it's weird. I know I shouldn't do this, but I've never gotten caught doing it. I'm sparring or fighting. I take a look at my dad, and my dad does signs to me. He does signs. Sometimes he doesn't even say things. He does this, and I'm like, oh, okay, and I do it, and it's actually effective. Like that is also training my brain.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely, because you're processing information, you're processing visual information. You're actually splitting your attention, right? That's the same drill. You're splitting your attention.
The Dave and Buster's lights have been working.
Shout out Dave and Buster's for getting the championship ready.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a question, Nayeli. When you're fighting, and this is going to a point that you said right now, as far as for when you're shadow boxing, instead of saying, working on combos, go 1, 2, 2, 1, 3, 4, instead of saying that, if you're to start throwing in colors, right? When you're fighting, say you're fighting a Mexican fighter, right? And you hear their corner, hey, tírale esta, tírale. Are you paying attention to what they're saying also to that way you can wait for that?
Yeah, so sometimes, and that's another thing too, I do hear the other corner. Yeah. But it's because sometimes they're just very obvious. They're like when they're saying, oh, throw the right. And I'm like, oh, they're going to throw the right. And boom, I moved, you know? And it's the same time that I'm hearing my dad. That my dad tells me, is this... Honestly, I believe that every fighter is different. I'm those kind of fighters that my dad, mostly he tells me all the instructions in the minute rest that we have. During the rounds, he throws in, oh, okay, let go of the right, it's open. Or he tells me elbows are high, or, you know, example, throw a hook, or little things like that. But he already gives me an instruction before the round starts. So I already more or less know what I'm going into. And so I guess that gives me time to also hear what the other corner got to say. You know, so I do.
So if you're able to hear them, right, so then they're able to hear your dad, right? So that's why, you know, what he was saying, like if you have a color or something, you guys, that's like your form of communication, right?
A
like,
sign.
Yeah, like even like in football, when you call out, if you see college football players, they have those big signs that have the different pictures, which means different shit. That might be another like little advantage you guys could do, where you guys have blue. Blue means, you know, you get your 1-2, your hook, or whatever it is. You guys have a sign. You might, you know.
Oh, he does.
So you guys already have the hand sign. You guys throw gang signs and shit.
Yeah, we throw gang signs in the fight. He's like, peace.
Dad's throwing gang signs and shit.
Yeah.
Damn. Yeah, that's. Dude, that's crazy, because I've always thought of that. I always try to wonder about that, because you hear them in the fights, right? You hear, when they're showing the commentators, you hear the corners yelling at each other to the fighters, like, well, you're fucking yelling at them. You know, if they speak the same language, they're gonna fucking know what you're saying. They don't know what you're saying, so they don't know what to expect.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that makes a lot of sense. What you're saying about, you know, having your own codes, or, you know, or like where your dad, he's shadow boxing out there with you on the side, you know, because he's fighting alongside with you. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, and he does do those signs. I'm not gonna say so no one.
No
knows those signs. No. But yeah, he does this to me. He does this.
He does it different. And I'm not gonna say, but I'm gonna show you all my signs.
Yeah, I'm gonna show you the signs, but they ain't gonna know what it is.
Okay.
But it's crazy, because I didn't realize, like, now that we're talking about this and the brain and stuff, I'm like, oh wow, your
dad knows what he's talking about, huh?
Yeah, you are a good coach, Dad.
You are a good coach. So let me ask you a question. Another thing you had posted was talking something about signal to noise ratio. What is that?
Well, signal to noise ratio basically means that we live in so much disruption right now. Social media, your friends calling. I mean, just everything is bombarded. What's noise and what's not? You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So as a fighter, you know, you have to recognize those things, because one of the things that we do, for example, the day before the fight, we want to conserve all the mental energy. We want the brain to have its energy like a completely charged phone. So every decision that fighter has to make, they make it the day before, because the day of the fight, they're going to talk less. No decisions. Not even, you know what, I want to wear this color underwear.
Right.
Nothing. Something as simple as that. You want your brain to have all that energy. And people say, oh, that's freaking ridiculous, man. Like, you know what? The brain throws in the towel first. And one of the main reasons it throws in the towel first is that it's running out of energy. And the amygdala, part of the brain that protects the brain, say, hey, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Slow it down. Don't think no more, or stop. This, you know, I'm wasting too much energy for you. That's when you got to push, you know. And if your neural wiring is not set to push, we in our training, we put a mental fatigue. You know, it feels like taking the longest school test you've ever taken. Have you ever felt that? You took a bunch of tests and your brain is like fried.
Yeah.
Like, no, I just want to chill. That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
And that's what we want to do. That's what we want to do. But we do it very specifically to that fight sport, right?
Okay.
and we work in a holistic environment because the UFC fighters we work with, they have a striking coach, they have a jiu-jitsu coach, they have a wrestling coach, they have strength and conditioning coach, they have sports psychologists. They have about 5 or 6 trainers. So in this holistic environment we train, we want to make sure that, and it'd be ideal to sit right here, all the trainers, and discuss strategy, right? And that's in a perfect world. It'll never happen, right? Everybody's got lives. Everybody's got things to do. So we rely on the fighter. Say, okay, what are you working on in terms of combinations? Okay. Anything specific? Oh, yeah, we're working on this. Okay. Write them down. Okay. So what we're going to do, we're going to maximize that by giving some brain stimulus to enhance those combinations. So that's important, right?
Yeah. So on fight day, going what the doc is saying, what's your thing? What do you do on fight day? Do you implement any of this stuff that he's talking about already?
Well, yeah, I do. I guess you can say that because like the day before, I have a thing. After weigh-ins, of course, you go eat. Yeah. And my dad, I fight late, so my dad just say, stay up late. But I'm just chilling with my family. Like my last fight, my sister was in town. We were watching Amanda Serrano versus Kate Taylor because it was the day before my fight. Yeah. So we were just there relaxing. It's more like relaxing. Yeah. I'm not on my phone. Yes, I have to post on social media about weigh-ins or whatever. I do that, put my phone down. I'm just relaxing. Comes the morning of the fight, I wake up when I want to. I eat breakfast, and then probably take like a little nap, and then I wake up, shower, and get ready. It's just like. Yeah, pretty much. I do. And it's funny how you're talking about the underwear. Yes, I do have my fight underwear. I do have my fight. I have all that ready. Like, I do have a routine. I do have a routine that, know, and yeah. Good deal. And it's funny that you say that because I'm like, yeah, I literally do have a fight underwear. Like,
yeah, it's absolutely. I mean, it happens all the time. And one of the things that we do also is the cellular recovery for the brain. So we use photobiomodulation, which is infrared light therapy. We have a helmet that we have it pre-programmed to do peak performance or calming or focus and calming or memory, or it's just got a lot. We use it for the fighters. We use it for peak performance on the peak performance mode, and it introduces near infrared and infrared at 1070 nanometers. The electrochemical spectrum that the sun hits, the reds, we live in a world that we only see 95% of what's going on.
Right.
I mean, 5%.
5%.
There's 95% that's happening here that we're not even seeing. Okay. So the infrared, 1070 nanometer penetrates the skull and goes directly into the neuron and neural networks that we want it to go to. And what does that do? That does cellular recovery. Okay. That way the athlete doesn't fatigue mentally. The brain doesn't give up because the mitochondria, the energy plant that's in every cell, and we have billions of them. And the brain is one of the ones that have the most mitochondria. Right. The mitochondria grab that red light for the electron transport chain to couple it with the protons and make ATP energy.
And do you do that throughout the training, or is it just basically?
It just depends. It just depends on what agreement we have with the fighter, and whatnot.
To get the peak performance, what have you seen? Is it best throughout? That way you could get used to that.
Absolutely.
And kind of like reset.
I'll tell you, we use it like really religiously, like the last 2 weeks before the fight, and the day before and the day of, we put a big load on the brain to protect. It does the performance side, but it does neuroprotection and the neural recovery. So it mitigates a lot of concussions.
Okay. Speaking of concussions, there's something that I've talked about. I know we mentioned it the last time you were on here. When cutting weight, that's the biggest. Is that the biggest or the scariest way to almost guarantee a concussion if you're cutting a lot of weight the last few days because you're so drained and all the water from the brain is the first to go away? Is that true, or is that just all?
Yeah, very true. Very true. The brain is about 90% water, and it's cellular water, which there's 2 different types. Body water, we're about 75%, but cellular water, water that's in the cell, we're 99.9%. Okay. And the brain is that way because every neuron that's in the brain is coated with these fibers, these other glial cells and whatnot, and these need hydration. Okay, a really tough weight cut dehydrates the entire body, and it dehydrates the brain. Okay? So one of the things that we recommend do is do a lot of your training outside in the sun, because the sun, there's always red light shining from the sun, infrared light, near infrared light. Okay, and what the red light does to your cell, it builds within the mitochondria and the cellular network. It builds what is known as exclusion zone water. This is structured water.
Okay. So
this structured water, it turns out that when we introduce red light, near infrared light, it spreads like a honeycomb, in the shape of a honeycomb, all throughout the cells. And that's so important, because that is water, but it's not water weight. It's water that we sweat. So it's to protect that. You'll never lose that. It's there to protect the cells and the muscles and the fascia and whatnot, and you don't lose that. That's why we put our fighters in red light beds, okay, along with the photobiomodulation, so it could help them with their weight cut.
Yeah.
Okay. That way they have some degree of energy, because I've seen some fighters that they want to pass out.
Right.
Okay. And that's the brain. Like, hey, I can't make connections here. I think I'm done. Pass out. Yeah.
So when I know for a lot of fighters, I don't know, we talked about this for fight week. Fight week, it's rare that you're going heavy. You're not going to be sparring. It's rare that you're going heavy movements and all that. You're still staying limber or whatnot. What do you do on fight week for your fighters as far as on the mental aspect on it? Because I know you're not supposed to be getting too much with the body, right? So how do you get ready for it mentally?
No, by that time we've already tapered down. We've already got some really good metrics. We've already made the right course that we needed to take. We've already increased that performance, and we can show by numbers, percentages. Anything that we do, we measure it to make sure that, hey, you did well in these areas. So the last week is pretty much support what the fighter needs or whatnot. But other than that, we'll do the recovery, the neuro protection, the neuro recovery, and make sure that fighter is quantumized. All right. Okay. Because another thing, and then we didn't go into the quantum physical side of things.
Okay. Let's do it.
At the very tiniest of our cells, there's a quantum world that's happening. Okay. And the quantum world is all around us. It's this unified field. Okay. Okay. That's everywhere present in the universe. And it's inside of us too. Okay. So it turns out that when your body is well quantumized, by saying that you've caught enough sunlight, you stack your sunrises. That is so important. Stacking sunrises, greeting the sunrise barefoot on the earth is so important, because when you ground, your body's getting rid of all that negative energy and all that dirty electricity that fires. Okay, and you're getting free electrons from the earth. Okay. Those electrons are needed by your body to make ATP energy. Okay, very important. So it turns out that the water, the easy water, okay, goes into the fascia. The fascia is the white fibrous connective tissue that's all over our body, holds our organs together, holds our muscles together. Okay. It's piezoelectric, meaning that it's got electricity, and that is our communicative highway for the body. So from a quantum physical perspective, if my neurons, this network over here, is firing on a certain degree of combinations, my arms, okay, my body is going to do it immediately, like simultaneously. Okay. That's called quantum entanglement. In other words, this neuron is already communicated, this neuron together simultaneously.
So for grounding,
so we don't actually wait for the signal to come here, to come here, to come here, to come here. Yeah. No, it happens instantaneously.
So for the grounding, is it best to do it at sunrise, or is there a certain time, or is it just
anytime? You can do grounding anytime. Okay, I recommend I have the fighters, 1 to 2 hours of grounding, and stack your sunrise. And if you're stacking your sunrises, do it for 30 minutes with bare feet on the ground.
30 minutes bare feet on the ground.
Absolutely. Yeah, dude, and why is it important? The circadian rhythm. The circadian rhythm is captured through that sunrise.
Right.
Because the first 30 minutes of that sunrise, you have the perfect amount of infrared, near infrared light, and UVB. That comes in through your eyes, through your retina. There's melanopsin receptors in there. Goes into suprachiasmatic nucleus. The suprachiasmatic nucleus in the brain is right in the middle. If you intersect right here, it is the master clock of the body. Okay, and why is that important? Because it tells all your other organs, all your other clocks, when to make the hormones at the right times. And that's important for athletic performance.
So how does that come into effect when you're fighting at different times? Does that hurt it? Because I know there's sometimes when you're, like when you're saying, when Nayeli, sometimes you're fighting, when you're fighting late. But there's going to be times, that, like for those fighters that when they go overseas and they're fighting at 3 a.m. over there, so it could be 9 here or whatever. Does that take into effect?
It could, but you got to make the travel plans, right?
Yeah.
If you know that you got to be there and fight this day, go a week early or whatnot.
So do you
get acclimatized?
So are you, to get the best peak performance for that? Are you supposed to train yourself during that time to match? As far as say for example, if you're gonna fight in where's everybody fighting right now? Like in Saudi, and it's 3 a.m. over there, but you're fighting it here. It's 4 in the afternoon. Is that when you should start practicing to mimic the time that would be over there?
Yeah, start introducing some time schedules to get near to that. It's not ever going to be perfect.
Right.
Okay, you're working around other people's schedules.
Right.
They work for a living too. So,
dude, this is, this is a lot to take for me to come in. I mean, I keep seeing you light up. I keep seeing you lighting up.
She's very relaxed, actually, all throughout. Really? I mean, she's just super relaxed.
It's because I'm in somebody else's house right now.
Oh shit!
I just like.
That's what it is.
That's what it is.
So I know you talked about on one of the videos you posted. You keep talking about the key to brain body performance. What is the key to get to that spot, to the brain body performance?
I think the most important thing for that is that your brain becoming efficient at what it does for your sport. And it doesn't, when we work with fighters and through the programs and through the years, a couple of years and whatnot, there's no sports side in your brain.
Yeah.
Everything is everywhere. Okay. And it matches into your business and personal life and everything. And we find that, they're pretty smart people. They make some really good business decisions. And the other thing that I've noticed is that they keep a circle of friends that are meaningful to them.
Okay.
Because the brain becomes the average of your 5 closest friends, the circuitry.
Really?
Yeah, because if you talk about what you do and whatnot, So we got to be mindful on who we associate as your 5 closest friends.
So is that why they say if you're the smartest person in your group, you should find a new group, so that way you could keep on, triggering and learning more?
I guess
You've not heard of that?
Yeah, no, I've heard about it.
Yeah, but
I've heard about it. But that's basically, to me, I take it as like, if you're hanging around with bums, dude, don't hang around with bums.
Yeah. No, that's common sense.
Yeah.
Well,
it's the same thing, right?
It should be. Yeah, but it's kind of hard. If you're a crackhead, it's kind of hard to be with.
Hey, but I'll tell you something that's, and you brought up this issue. In life, big organizations, big corporations, their CEOs, they have a board of directors. A CEO doesn't make a decision. Ultimately, they do, right? But it's based on what the board of directors have suggested,
right?
Because they've done research, right? So my advice in terms of that is have yourself a board of directors for your life. These people don't even have to know that you're a board of directors, okay? And pick them out, and every now and then call them up or talk to them, go to lunch with them. Whatever the case may be, they will solve 99.9% of your issues because that's your board of directors, And so don't go through life by yourself.
Right.
Okay, things doesn't work. A champion. All credit goes to the fighter in the ring, right, in the arena. Mm-hmm. But that person has a support team.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
And that's so important. Yeah.
So for the average person that's listening right now, we're not fighters, we're not we're not in a combat sport. Any of this stuff that you have, how beneficial could any of this be to just like the average Joe?
Oh, very beneficial. It just raises your level of performance to that next level. Mm-hmm. Imagine, let's say a customer service representative. Okay. Good help is hard to find, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, when companies are paying you minimum wage to put up with a bunch of people's attitudes,
right?
Hey, but what about management? Okay.
Yeah.
Is there an issue with managers?
Oh, usually.
If you see that customer service team behave a certain way, it's because that manager allowed them to do that. Mm-hmm. So what you allow, you teach, okay? Right. Or you even taught them yourself, okay? So when you teach people how to use their brain in a more efficient way through these programs or whatever, the brain builds those neural networks of a higher performance, okay? And you will just set yourself apart from the crowd.
Right. So, Nayeli, as the fighter that you are, as the champion that you are, listening to everything that the doc is talking about, I see a lot of head nodding with you over there. What's sinking in, or what? Do you see something that you didn't even know your dad was already doing by what he's doing? Some of the things that the doc is talking about.
Yeah, well, a lot of things like I guess like how he was saying about the split attention.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I do have that because the fact that I'm in the ring and I'm like going like this, but I can still see my fighter and I'm doing this, like, yeah, a lot of it's very interesting, because I've never heard of this, like I really didn't, and so hearing it is very interesting, and I'm like I have no words. Like I'm like,
yeah.
I'm just convinced that I can become Elle from Stranger Things.
You're just
and it's
superhuman.
It's funny you say that because we're affiliated with some of the gyms in Albuquerque where we train some of the UFC fighters. In Jackson Wink, for example, if we're training somebody right there from across the world, like we trained Arlene Blanco. She was the number 1 ranked for Bellator. That's where she trains at. So we were training with her, and I mean, there's a crowd that just semicircle. What's that? We're doing. Oh, I got to try. Hey, let me try that. Hey, let me try. And it could be disruptive if you allow it to.
Right.
But hey, listen. If you'll try it here in a little bit. I got my client here that's working on our program. If we got time, we'll take you through a session.
Yeah.
And then you'll see some other up and comers that are in their top 10, top 20, and you want to work with them too. You want to help them out,
right? And
especially the new ones coming up. You want to give them a little taste of it so that way they can start seeing possibilities, options out there.
Yeah. No, for sure. This is definitely something that. I mean, like I said, for me alone, when I was hearing about it, through Ashley, shout out to Ash, from Talking About It podcast. I know when you were talking with her and I was listening, I was like, dude, there's so many different things on here that on the daily we don't think about, right? But everything coincides with each other. Once you start, that's why I was asking about the shadow boxing, because a lot of times, as a trainer, when I would train, they'd be like, oh, we'll just go shadow box for like 20 minutes over there. Why the fuck am I doing it? As people, I guess I'm one of those people that I gotta know why I'm doing something, so that way I know what's beneficial. Or a lot of times it's as when you're first starting, a lot of times they tell you just go do this over there. It's like they're just trying to get you out the fucking way, right? Because they got other shit to work on. So a lot of times I like to know why certain things are being done, or why they're asking me to do something, so that way I know I'm not just out there just to fucking fuck around, or so that way you could take it serious. And that's one of the things that I found fascinating about this. As far as I love boxing. I mean, UFC, I don't know much about it, so I can't talk about it. But with boxing, like I love seeing that it's more than just sheer will and physical aspect. It's the mental aspect, which is something that people don't really associate with it, because you're thinking you're a bunch of punch drunk fighters, and they're just in there just to, with just physical will to win. So I think that's why it's. I was mind boggled to see this. I was like, dude, I gotta talk to this guy, and I wanted to have Nayeli on here so she could kind of see, a lot of the times why behind things.
Yeah,
because I think it's more effective training when you know the why as opposed to just go do this, And then sometimes even as trainers, or we know or they know why something should or what somebody should do, but a lot of times it's like it clicks more like when you go into it more on the medical side of it or on the brain side of it. It clicks more to them. It's like, oh shit, that makes more sense of why they're doing it. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's beneficial for a team in general for what you're performing or what you have. Now I know you brought some toys with you. So some other toys that we want to put Nayeli through a little spectrum to see how she's doing for reaction time and stuff like that. And now we're really going to see how the brain twitches and goes through. Can you talk to us a little bit about what else you brought?
Yeah, so I brought some fit lights, and this is one of the lights programs that we use to make sure that we track some progress. And what she'll be doing is she'll be going through a split attention task. Okay. Well, she'll be working with the lights and see how fast her reaction speed is. And again, you're talking about seeing, processing, and reacting. Right. Okay. Not to be confused with Nayeli's, punch combination speed, which is probably at 250, 200 milliseconds. Yeah. Probably even faster. Mm-hmm. Okay. But when you have to engage in stimulus coming in, it changes the ballgame. Now you get your brain into a mode of processing information. Okay. And one of the things that we do, we have another program called Neuro Tracker, and it's actually a screen that's got multiple targets that move around. So when you're shadow boxing, you're tracking targets. Okay. So it's putting your mind to work, it's putting your brain to work, while you're flowing. Okay. And we want that. And at the same time, you'll be wearing this, right? And I'm able to see, okay, you know what? She's not overthinking. That's where we want her to be. Like throughout, I've been taking a look at that, and she doesn't overthink. She raises her focus level when you're asking a question. Right. And we want to see that, because her brain is starting to say, okay, let's focus on, every word that is coming out of his mouth.
So if she's doing the pattern recognition, right? And you're starting to notice that she's overthinking. How is that? How can you fix that?
We show it,
Right.
We show it and we stop and we say, hey, well, simple question, right? What were you thinking? Okay. I was thinking about the date I have tomorrow. Get your mind in the game. Right. You'd be surprised at what they think. Well, what am I going to eat for dinner tonight? Yeah. They're doing that. Because your body's so used to movement, precise movement. But the brain, says, hey, you got a lot of other things happening in your life, man.
Right.
Okay?
And, it's funny, but, whoever watches this, all my family members, all my loved ones, I'm going to say, you guys, I'm not an overthinker.
There you go. No overthinker here.
But, in some things, it is very funny. I don't know. I guess I do think boxing keeps me sane, right? Yeah. But when I'm alone in my thoughts and stuff, and I'm not allowed to work out, that's when my overthinking happens, and my brain is like, and I'm going crazy. But it's funny because, this whole time you're saying I'm not overthinking, so I'm not an overthinker.
You're not. Not right now. Well, right now you're in your element. Yeah. You know what I mean? You're in your element. You're trying to be 11 from Stranger Things. The metamorphosis is going through already. So do you guys want to go ahead and start
let's do it real quick drill.
How long does a drill run give or take?
Right here, but it's going to be 30 hits, so less than 30 seconds.
All right. Then we'll go ahead and while you guys are doing that, I guess we'll be narrating. Dad, do you want to jump on the mic and talk about any of this to see how she's going to do it? You're not going to come out on camera, but you can talk if no.
Do I take out my headphones?
Yeah, just so that way, because I don't want you to lose the superhero the superhero look that you got.
I'm so inspired.
Yeah, and if you want to move, if you can move the mic towards you, so that way you could, if you want to talk, Doc, during it, or that way we could hear you. Yeah, I'm just saying so that way we can hear you in case you for any instructions or whatnot that you got to provide and see what you're seeing, so that way we can kind of, for the people that are watching, they can be part of this as well. You know what I'm saying?
For the people that are watching, if things move in your house, you know why.
She's telepathic now.
All right, so this is a split attention. It involves also peripheral vision on the side vision right here. And peripheral, what we're going to do is that she's going to match. Her attention is going to split. She's going to match colors with her striking and see how fast her brain processes it and her reaction time. But like I said, this is not a test because this is the first time that she ever does this. So it takes a little bit of time for the brain to say, oh, okay, I got it. But once these neural connections make connection in the brain, guess what? They stay there. They're loose connection, but by tomorrow when you're doing sparring or you're actually doing some bag work or any type of work, the brain will use them. Generally, because they're already existing.
So generally, how long does it take to get used to this drill and to be able to start moving forward or be better at the drill?
It depends.
On
how adaptive your brain is.
Okay. So it's usually better with younger fighters or fighters that are barely starting off, or is it?
No, we've seen
better
fighters.
With
yeah,
veterans?
We've seen fighters that are 40, 44, 45 years old.
Damn.
And they're pretty fast.
Yeah.
And their brains are like, really good.
All right. So whenever you guys are ready, you got Nayeli.
Okay.
We got the doc going through.
You ready, Nayeli? Yeah. All right, here we go.
No pressure, girl. I mean,
No
we're
pressure.
just, people will put in the comments if you're fucking up or not. Uh-oh.
What happened?
Yeah, they all went off. They went out together or whatnot.
Okay, here we go.
So Nayeli had said this is very similar to the game at Dave and Buster's.
What happened?
You
made a mistake.
Yeah.
They'll go off if you make a mistake.
So it stops?
It stops if you make a mistake.
What is the reason for that?
Yeah, she hit.
Yeah,
that
I know
right
it's in
there.
the way. So, but
Yeah.
is there a reason for it to stop?
I said it that way. That way, when they make a mistake,
Yeah.
I want it to stop so they can say, okay, what happened there. No,
Kind of
just-
stop. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Remember, get in your stance, girl. Get in your boxing stance. That way we. Oh shit.
Now we're thinking what's going on.
No, you're good right now. Yeah.
This is her focus. This is her relaxation. Okay. So if you want to.
Yeah, as we want to show.
That way.
That way, Dad could
it.
see it because
Yeah,
Dad's
absolutely.
the coach. That way, he could see.
All right, Nayeli, you ready?
Yes.
Here we go.
So Nayeli's focusing on this. I'm not gonna try to talk too much because I don't want to throw her off by what I'm saying.
You can talk to me.
No, absolutely not. She's going for 30 hits. She's on hit number 11. Her average speed is 630 milliseconds.
Okay. And that's good, or
That's good.
I mean,
This is her second time she does it.
yeah. Dude, I think I could keep my kids entertained for hours with this shit.
Oh,
That way I don't have to deal with them anymore. So
It
just
turns
go play
into
with the
a
lights,
family,
Mijo. Go play with the lights, Mijo. We don't.
so that was 30 hits. 617 milliseconds. Okay, right there, 617. And if that would have been part of your assessment, obviously we wouldn't jot that down. Okay, and I would say within a couple of weeks, 3 weeks, we'd probably have you cut that at 300 milliseconds. Now, this is important because your brain is in the middle of this thing. It's processing visual information for you. Okay. We can get Joe Blow walking his dog and get him over here, and you'll see the big difference.
Yeah?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Damn.
You want to try it out? Try it out.
Yeah, well, if you want, we'll try right now afterwards. So that way
Yeah,
we
absolutely.
don't have to move all the cameras
Yeah,
away.
I mean, she's a trained athlete.
Right.
Okay. So at 600 milliseconds, that's fast. Okay.
Yeah.
That's super fast.
And again, the beneficial of this is for like in a fight aspect would be what?
Obviously, you got reaction speed. You got brain processing speed. Okay, the more that you increase your brain processing speed, the more you slow down your match. Okay, it's called time dilation prior to motor action. Okay, and it's a science. There's a lot of peer-reviewed research articles on it. It's been around, and this is what most fighters experience when they're in flow. Their match actually slows down.
Yeah. Do you ever do you experience that when you're fighting? Like, do you, as the fight goes on, or as you're starting to gain and see, let me put this back so I can see you again. As the fight's going on and you're able to start picking up on tells on what they're doing, does it like actually slow down for you in time while you're fighting, or does it look like the same from start to finish?
I feel like it looks the same from start to finish, because even sometimes that, like, I fought strong opponents. My last fight was a strong opponent. Yeah. She'd tend to hold me a lot, rub her head against my face and all that stuff. And those are times that you do need to make quick adjustments to that, and even through that, I feel like I still have the same game plan. I still have the same, like, well, honestly, if you ask me what my game plan is, I'm going to say to kick ass. Right. So, but yeah, and something, it feels the same, the same pace, I don't feel it like it's going too fast and I'm like, whoa, that was fast. It doesn't feel that way. It feels like I guess you can say kind of slow motion, but at the same time, not really, but it's not fast paced. It's like,
do you hear that? Is that a common thing, or?
Yeah, absolutely. The brain adapts to situations such as fighting and repeat the repetitiveness of it, that for others watching is like, damn, that's freaking fast. Yeah. For you, that's just normal. So the brain feels it's normal. It's part of the normalcy.
Right. Yeah. So then, after time, with everything that the Neuro Peek Performance provides, do you feel that you'd be able to help as far as the slowing down of time while in the ring, so that way you can focus more on connecting cleanly?
Absolutely. Damn. Absolutely. It's all work of the brain that the brain does,
Generally, how many camps does it take for somebody to fully feel the full benefit of the spectrum that you're putting them through?
One camp.
Generally one camp, and that's a 6-week camp, or
6 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever.
How long would it be for, on your perspective?
It just depends on how adaptive the brain is, and how much time the fighter can dedicate to the neurocognitive performance training. Like I said, a session will last about 2 hours. Okay. Sometimes we like to do the sessions after they went through a complete workout, because the brain is tired, and we want to push that. We want to push it.
The peak performance.
Yeah, and sometimes we don't, because we want the brain to be fresh. We want the brain to be optimal in wiring itself.
Yeah, so you got to keep it, just like anything else, you got to keep it guessing, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And is it, when you're doing during the training camp, is it daily that you're doing this, or is it every other day? Or
yeah, for some fighters it's twice a week, and for some fighters it's once a week. It just depends on the fighter. Yeah, the fighter's brain, how adaptive it is. Yeah.
So, with all this that we're talking about, with the grounding, with the different, I don't want to say toys, but the different equipment that you have that people can use. Do you also? I know you had talked about how like with the shadow box is kind of meditative. Yeah. Do you push meditation on as part of the program as well?
Absolutely. Every session includes an EEG neural meditation, what she's wearing. Right. We have them go through meditation, and we're looking to see what's going on right here.
So as far as for the normal Joe, how, for us that don't know either how to meditate or what we're doing, because I know a lot of times I've been wanting to try it, but I just sit there and I was like, dude, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, right? Because nobody tells me how. Like, again, I need to know the why or how, right? What can we as just normal Joes do to learn how to get into that meditative state, or take advantage of that for us on our daily life?
Yeah, do you have a comfortable couch where you actually
where I pass out?
Where I pass out? You pass out. That's what I would recommend you use. you know, and try for 5 minutes. Put a timer on your phone. Okay, and just close your eyes. If a thought starts to come on, you know, like, oh, I gotta do this tomorrow. Just brush it off. Concentrate on your breath. Breathe in through your nose. Breathe out your mouth. Every time a thought comes in, just brush it off. Breathe in and breathe out. See how long you last. Okay. These things right here, I think they're like $300 or something like that. But what was once medical grade stuff is now available, so we're able to take a whole lab into a gym. Wow. You know, and get the same results like somebody going to a lab. Yeah.
Do you emphasize sensory deprivation also into it?
We don't. No, we don't. That's a totally different thing. I mean, and I've done it.
Yeah,
you know,
like
on
the float balls.
Floats. Yeah. I've done it. Feels great. But no, I mean, those are all things that you can incorporate. Yeah. To do that, but we're more geared into getting that brain body integration to be optimized.
Yeah. Okay. Damn. Yeah. Any last questions there, Nayeli? You're doing great, by the way, today. You're doing great as a co-host.
I'm gonna replace.
You replace Jules.
I'm just saying. Well, everything was very interesting. You know, my last question. So, in the end of all this, it's gonna allow. Oh, this was a question I was gonna ask you earlier. Now I just remembered. Now with the lights and all this. Now, you know how earlier I had asked about if you got a slow fighter, fast fighter. Yeah. Now, with let's say a slow fighter, does this make them faster in the ring, or is it just more in your head?
Yeah, it makes it more efficient with the brain body connection. Okay, if there's a slow fighter that likes to do things slow and whatnot. Okay. And that doesn't mean that the slow fighter is not effective, you know, because the brain handles the timing, and timing is so important. Whether you're slow or fast, the timing, you know, that's a brain, that's neural networks that we also work for, and timing to make sure you get your timing right. It doesn't necessarily mean that, I want you to super speed. No, but your timing and your precision are very important.
Oh, the reaction time, okay, I see. Yeah. Yeah, because that is very true. There's some fighters that they're not necessarily fast in their hands, but their accuracy, their timing is just so perfect that you can get a fast guy and that won't mean anything.
Pump. Yeah, so it won't physically change anything. It's just more about finding the openings quicker mentally, then, right?
Absolutely. That see, process, react.
Yeah, because I know you had said something to the point that we don't see through our eyes, right? We see through the brain. The eyes are just kind of the vessel for it.
Absolutely. You know, I mean, the eyes are part of the brain, you know, through the retina, but vision lives in the brain and not in the eyes. The eyes are lenses, you know, but the eyes are also equipped with 7 what's called ciliary muscles that you need to work out, okay, to get that brain processing speed. Now, I'll give you some pointers on how to work out your eyesight, okay? Because one of the things that we use synaptic glasses, and these synaptic strobophobic glasses allow us to program one eye to be shut, completely shut, kind of like when you get, you know, a punch in your eye, you have trouble seeing, you got to rely on one eye, right? So we train the brain to rely on one eye and both eyes, you know, to do the work.
Is there any way you could train the brain how to deal with I know you try to throw all the different, you know, factors into it, but when dealing with cuts, is there any way you could train your brain to how to kind of, you know, the fight or flight mode that comes in with that? Is there anything that you have as far as for the equipment that you have?
Yeah, well, she's wearing this.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, staying calm. You know, once you build those neural networks of calming down, they don't go away. They don't ever go away. Okay, they're part of you, and the more you practice it, the more you do it, they get myelinated. Myelin is a sheath, kind of like this cord. Okay, it's got a piece of metal inside, right? And it's coated with this, right? Same thing happens with your neurons. They get coated, and that coating is called myelination, and that makes them super fast.
Okay, damn. So, Dr. Roman Velasquez, if people want to get in contact with you to see how Neuro Peek Performance could help them, where can they reach out to you? Where can they find you? And also, I know you're an author as well. Where can they buy anything that you've published?
Yeah, on Amazon. All my published work is on Amazon. My last book is Fight Sport Neurocognitive Performance Training, How Athletes Rewire their Brains to Win. It's still there. You know, it's funny. It's being bought more in the UK, Spain, and France.
Really?
Than the US, yeah. But, yeah, it's out there for trainers that, physical fitness trainers or strength and conditioning coaches. They like that because they get to learn how to implement some neurocognitive into the training too. Okay. You know, if you contact me on social media, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and just go to my link. My phone number's there and everything.
Okay. So, Dr. Roman Velasquez, any last words for anybody that is thinking about trying to up their game and become that superhuman fighting machine? Any last words that you have for them? I think the most important thing is to surround yourself with people of good energy, with people that are going to actually support you. Right. Okay. And with your trainers, trust is everything. If a trainer tells you ABC, ABC is going to happen. You know, because there's trust. Okay. And always follow your heart, you know, because one of the most important things is that at the end of the day, when it comes to brain work, you know, you want to have a good brain, right? A good, healthy brain, because you want to remember your legacy. There's a lot of boxers out there that, you know, their speech is really bad. You know, they're clumsy. They're, you know, because of that. And so take care of your brain. And with this training, would it help alleviate that a little bit, or is that just after physical abuse it is what it is?
Well, it is what it is, but with our protocols that we do have, since we do put the brain to work and we do have that neuroprotection, neuro recovery aspect to that, you know, if we see a fighter that possibly may have a concussion, you know, we'll work with the different, you know, modalities that we have. If it turns out that it's a full-fledged, you know, I'll have them go to a hospital and get an MRI or whatever, you know, brain scan, to see what the deal is. But yeah, we'll use all our equipment that we have to make sure that the athlete's brain is protected and it is firing optimally.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to come out here. I know you're a very busy man. I know you've been training and you're everywhere. I appreciate you coming out. Dr. Roman Velasquez, follow him on Instagram, on TikTok. Definitely on TikTok, Neuro Peek Performance. If you want to be the killer fighting machine, make sure you look to advance not only your physical but the mental, because that's where it all starts at. And on behalf of the people's champ for Nayeli, Nayeli Rodriguez, I know there's big things coming up for her. She's got nothing but, as you're saying, as a support team that she's got, the sky's the limit. And I'm not saying that just to be a kiss. I mean, we've talked off camera. The sky's the limit with support team that she's got, and she's doing everything right. And if you guys, definitely, if you're a fighter, if you know anybody in the fight game, or anybody that just wants to get sharper mentally, reach out to Dr. Roman Velasquez. Take advantage, because this is some. It sounds groundbreaking with a bunch of stuff that they're doing, but it's always good to protect the most important part of your body, which is your brain. So again, I appreciate you all coming through.
It's been an honor, man. Thank you very much for having me. You guys are awesome. Free followers, I got 2 sponsorship spots available. That means I'm not going to charge you anything to do a training camp with you. Okay. So if you want to be a part of that, absolutely, no charge.
Definitely reach out to Dr. Roman Velasquez. Till next time, guys, don't be an asshole. Don't be a dick. Deuces.